As many of you probably know, the last weekend of this past January was NAMM 2024, and for the first time in my life, I got the chance to join in on the fun. There were a ton of amazing performances, fantastic panels.
Hey Sean, what's your hair care routine?
And of course, more gear than any one person could ever play in a single lifetime. So today, I thought I'd take you through my first NAMM, what it was like, and some of my favorite pieces of gear that I got the chance to play. Hi everyone, Nisabel here. So NAMM took place over 4 days, but since I needed to be back in Seattle for work Monday morning, this left us with 3 days to get the most out of our trip. After flying in and soaking in more sunlight than I've seen in months, it was time for day one. Now, as I mentioned before, this was my first time attending NAMM, and I had no idea what to expect. But after talking to some NAMM regulars while we were in line, we were told 2 things. 1, make a plan to see everything you want to see, and 2, be prepared to be overwhelmed. And overwhelmed, we definitely were. But once we got over the initial shock, we made a plan. First, we would quickly make our way through the whole show floor from pro audio all the way down to guitar gear to get an initial look at everything there. Then, after regrouping for some lunch, we would go back through, hit the booths that made the biggest impressions on us, and play some amazing gear. So with that, we hit the floor. There was a slight problem with our plan. Jesus Christ. I was exhausted. This place was so much bigger than I'd first realized and had more things to see than I could even begin to wrap my mind around. Sure, we had made it through the whole show floor like planned, but by this point it was almost 4 p.m. and most of what we'd seen was a complete blur. I was tired, hungry, my voice and ears were totally spent, and worse yet, I hadn't played a single guitar all day. So after resting our feet for a bit, we realized we needed to be a bit more intentional with our gear hunt. For starters, I'm happy with my recording setup at home, so we can rule out pro audio. Similarly, I don't need any more live sound gear at the moment, so we can cross that off as well. Next, I don't really see myself collecting violins in the same way that I do with guitars, so I should be all good for the classical section. And finally, I have neither the space nor the coordination to ever be a half-decent drummer, so that's out too. Which leaves us with one section and one section only to focus in on: guitars and guitar gear. So with our new and much more manageable search area defined, we dove back in, but this time, our goal was to play everything and anything we could get our hands on. After spending day one getting a cursory look at everything, there were a couple pieces of gear that I wanted to take a closer look at going into day 2. The first thing I wanted to revisit was the Arare Overdrive from KGR Harmony. If you're unfamiliar with KGR Harmony, they're the ones who partnered with Lawler Pickups to create the limited run Lawler Overdrive pedal. And all of their pedals are handmade in Japan by this man, Keijiro Fukushima.
高校生の時、初めて、雑誌を見て作り始めて、それからずっともう15年以上作り続けてます。
The first thing that caught my eye with the Arare and all of KGR Harmony's pedals were their unique appearance. While most pedal manufacturers opt for aluminum enclosures, KGR went a slightly different direction when it came to his own pedals.
まずは筐体エンクロージャーをアルミではなくて、日本の伝統工芸である南部鉄器で、南部鉄器の材料は、鋳鉄ですね。キャストアイロンですね。あられは初めて、この南部鉄器エフェクターとして作ったモデルです。あられはいわゆるトランスペアレント系の、オーバードライブですね。例えば、ティミポルコクレンには大きく影響を受けて、います。それをティミに、ミッドコントロールを追加して、ただそれだけではなくてそのサウンドにとても、大きな、影響を与えています。ミッドコントロールを追加したことがサウンドに大きな、影響を与えているし、あとはやっぱりそのエンクロージャーのサウンドが僕はあると思っていて、アルミニウムとそれから鋳鉄のサウンドの違いが、あられの大きな特徴になっていると思います。
The Arare was such a fun take on a classic circuit, and it's definitely an overdrive I plan on adding to my board in the future. Once we were all finished up at KGR Harmony, KGR sent us off with some lunch and we were on to our next stop, KGR Guitars. Now, I've been a longtime fan of KGR even before NAMM for a couple of reasons. Number one, all of their guitars are made right around my hometown, and number two, just look at these guitars. While I've been following KGR's work for a while, this was actually the first time I've had the chance to see or play one in person. In particular, the model that first caught my eye was the Banshee. So when I saw not just a Banshee, but a Banshee Deluxe in sparkle pink, it was a dream come true. As an extra bonus, Doug KGR himself was there to tell us all about the Banshee.
This is the second version of Banshee. The original was basically a Firebird copy. We redesigned it to be more what I wanted anyway and fix kind of some of what I thought were the quirks to that design and improve it. So we tried to take advantage, if I was going to have to redesign it, moving mass back to this side of the guitar so that it helps with the balance issues. We scarf joint the headstock. It's stronger, obviously, and it's a known weak spot. And then when we bring in material in the shop, the lightest pieces of wood, mahogany that come in the shop, they only become Banshee headstocks. So we can shave as much weight from this end as possible. Spanish mahogany, the one thing about it is a real prominent mid-range. We have to be especially careful with the neck humbucker. It gets muddy really quick. So it's basically a PAF set that is a little less in the neck and a little hotter in the bridge. We've been making this version of Banshee for 10 years, I think, or something longer than I want to admit, probably.
Hey!
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm getting tired, but...
My voice is almost shot, so...
Are we seeing you tonight?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'll be around.
I'll see you soon. And now that I've been able to check off another item on my guitar bucket list, we spent the rest of day 2 getting lost on the show floor, checking out Emily's panel.
Yeah, I think that they've gotten to the point where they know what's in the content, that you don't have to hashtag it. They know there's cats in this video, I'm going to give it to people who like cats.
And of course, playing even more guitars. Play anything and I'll play to you.
Okay. I feel like so much pressure now.
For our third and final day, we actually didn't end up going to NAMM. While we were on the NAMM show floor, I saw a ton of guitar pedal companies like Boss, Jackson Audio, and KGR Harmony, but I also noticed that there was quite a number of companies I'd expect to be there missing. Makers like Chase Bliss, Maris, Old Blood Noise Endeavors, and a bunch of others were nowhere to be seen. I thought that this was kind of weird until Emily and Jason told me about Effector Market. Now, I knew absolutely nothing about this event, but since we'd seen and played pretty much everything that we'd wanted to at NAMM, we hadn't seen anything from these pedal companies, and we only had one day left, I thought, hey, let's take a chance. And I'm so glad that we did. If you're like me and you've never heard of Effector Market, this is a one-day event held at a sandwich shop called Windsor Brown's about 10 minutes down the road from NAMM. Each pedal company had set up their own demo board with a board operator who would help you test out any or all the pedals you wanted. And within all the amazing pedals and setups, I spotted a guitar pedal that I've been dying to try since it was announced. Screen Violence by Old Blood Noise Endeavors. But before we jump into this pedal, I want to talk a bit about the guitar that I'm using here. This is the newest model to come out from Black Bobbin in partnership with Carlos Lopez, and it's called the Fantone. This may be, without any exaggeration, the best totally stock guitar I've ever played. I realize that best is a bit subjective, but what I mean is, I was completely comfortable on this instrument in a way that I've only felt on my own guitars. Every note and nuance that I reached for, I hit effortlessly, like I've been playing this guitar my whole life. And the sounds I was able to get out of it were literally music to my ears. Unfortunately for me, and for any of you who'd like to try one, all 3 Fantones at the event were one-off custom models that were made for the release of the guitar, and the actual production models won't start rolling out until later this year. I think build slots are still open over at Black Bobbin's Instagram, but I'm currently fighting with myself and my bank account about whether I'm gonna put my name on that list. But that's enough about guitars, let's talk about pedals. I've been an Old Blood Noise fan since I first played the Black Fountain V1 about a decade ago. And if you've seen my Q&A video, you may also know that Churches is one of my all-time favorite bands. So when I heard that Churches and Old Blood Noise were releasing a pedal together, I was beyond stoked and I knew that I had to play it. I just didn't expect to love it this much. So this pedal is a sort of mix of overdrive, delay, modulation, and reverb all packed into one pedal. It can do weird, spacey ambient sounds, as well as ripping, distorted tones. But I think this pedal is at its best when the two are combined. So this pedal is cool and all, but I wanted to know how exactly a Scottish synth pop band and a Chicago pedal maker end up making a pedal together.
Hey, I'm Joey Powell. I am a builder and the board guy for Old Blood events. So if you come to an Old Blood event, you probably have to deal with me. Churches approached us because they were already fans and wanted something that they could use on guitar, keyboard, drum machine, kind of just the whole gamut. And they wanted something like way simple. That's why there's only one, like, on the screen side, a knob that controls time and feedback. They had like a basic idea of what they wanted, and Dan kind of said, well, yeah, we can do that, but what if we did like this too and put this in? And they were cool with it. And yeah, just kind of went from there. I've known these guys since before Old Blood was a company, and always love their stuff. And my favorite thing is that we have the normal sounds built in, like our reverbs are, for the most part, you know, you can get a normal sound out of that. But then there's that threshold, that like that point where like most companies are like, okay, we're gonna stop here. And we're like, no, we're gonna push it. Like, we're gonna keep going. And you may never ever use that sound past that point, but it's there. And maybe one time you need that weirdness.
So what was the best part of NAMM? Was it the gear, the music? Was it not even the NAMM part? I think for me, and probably a lot of others, the best part was by far and large the people. Whether it was the passionate builders who were creating such incredible and inspirational pieces of equipment, the other content creators I finally got to meet in person after being online friends for over a year, or even Seb and Brittany who came with me down from Seattle just to support me in doing what I love to do. The time that I spent and the memories I made with everyone there made every day so much fun, no matter how tired or hungry I got. Don't worry, I'm not so sappy as to say the real best part of NAMM was the friends we made along the way, but just know that I'm definitely thinking it. And with that, I think that's all I have for you for today. I know it's been a while since I've worked on a guitar, but next video, we'll be back on the workbench with this. So stay tuned for that. Until then, thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you in the next one. Happy playing!